YouTube and family, my name is Michaela Deshawn and I have something to say. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, that like button, leave a comment down below and turn your post notifications on. You guys already know I'm back like I never left. I'm so glad you guys are here. January has come and gone. We are in February now, the second month of the year, which is also Black History Month. Woo, 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 woo. So that's really exciting. And also Valentine's Day is coming up. So happy early Valentine's Day, everyone. So last week, we're going to get straight into it. Last week, I dropped a dope story time for you guys. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and pause here. Go ahead and click that video. Go watch it because it's crazy and you don't want to miss it. And I want you to watch everything in order because I'm telling you, it's intentional. Everything I do, it's intentional. So go ahead and watch that if you haven't. But in the last week's video, we talked about manifestation. We talked about the power that we have in our words, and I kind of wanted to just kind of talk about that a little bit more. And so there was a part in the story time that I left out that I realized I forgot to mention way after. You know, when the wedding was paid for, everything turned out beautifully. You know what I mean? God really showed up and showed out, like everything that we desired, everything that we had decreed and declared happened, and it happened just like that in the nick of time. Like God really showed up. And as a matter of fact, if you watched last week's video, in the comment section, I want you guys to comment what are some things that you wrote down? What are some things that you have been decreeing and declaring over your life? What are some positive affirmations that you guys have been saying? So go ahead and drop that in the comments down below. I know something for me that I've been saying is I'm not a failure, I'm a winner, I am successful. Because for me, a lot of times I feel like, oh my gosh, everyone else in my life is here and I'm here, but everybody's journey is different and everything happens for a reason, and I dare not question God at all. I've been my biggest rooter, you know what I mean, for the past couple of days. I've been rooting myself on even when it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. So that's what I've been doing. Drop in the comments what you guys have been doing. So last week we talked about, you know, the power in our words. We talked about you know, just how God just showed up and showed out for us in the nick of time. But one thing I kind of forgot to mention was actually a really, really big part of it, you know, and I'm so sorry that I forgot to mention this, but you know, for my wedding, I've always wanted to get married, you know, since a kid. That's been something that's like, you know, we talk about, like, get married, have kids, be successful, like, that's like the pinnacle of life. It's like your prime. And so getting married was a big thing, but a big thing was like, who's gonna walk me down the aisle? I had always imagined my dad would walk me down the aisle and it would be beautiful, have a flower girl and things like that, but that wasn't the case. And so when I got married, my dad unfortunately was not able to be there, you know, for whatever reason, and it broke my heart. You know, I was very devastated about that, and you know, just I felt a lot of emotions. I felt rejected, and I'm sorry if it feels like I'm looking past the camera. Whenever I begin to talk or tell a story or just get into what I'm saying, I kind of like look off into space, so please excuse me for that. But my dad couldn't be there for whatever reason, and it really broke my heart. It made me feel really sad. I felt rejected. I felt like nobody wanted me and things like that. And so in the midst of him not coming, I'm like, oh my gosh, who's going to walk me down the aisle? And so, you know, there was no one to walk me down the aisle. Time had passed, and I had officially decided that I was going to walk down the aisle by myself. And so I'm getting dressed. The day of the wedding, I'm really putting my wedding dress on, and I get a phone call, and I call them my godparents because it's my shout out to Silas if you're watching this. That's my road dog. So it's his parents, and their family has like really taken me in. They're just like, they might as well be my godparents. So I'll call them my godparents in this video, and I love them so much. Shout out to you guys. But you know, his dad called me, you know, hey, like, you know, what do you want me to wear? A bow tie or a long tie? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you want somebody walking down the aisle? I'm walking down the aisle. But that was so significant to me, and it really made me cry. Like when I was putting my dress on, and I was trying not to mess up my makeup because in my head, even though I wasn't singing out loud and I was seemingly happy and I'm like, okay, it's my big day, I was like, man, there's no one there to walk me down the aisle. There's no one there to give me away. And I really felt rejected. I really felt like, man, I felt like a bastard child. Like I don't have a dad. I don't have anyone to like that even wants to claim me. So these are things that I felt. Him being there meant the world to me. You know what I mean? Him walking me down the aisle, just kind of filling in that void. I'm getting teary-eyed now. Like it really made my day special. And so I kind of wanted to share that with you all, because in my head, it's never been something that I vocalized really. I didn't really talk about it. I didn't really talk about, there was no one there to walk me down. I didn't really say that out loud, or that was even a need, but it was something in my heart. It was something in my mind. And I'm like, man, God, who's going to walk me down the aisle? I'm going to walk down the aisle by myself. But my point is, even though I didn't say it, God heard it and he answered and he responded. And so I kind of wanted to really pivot off of that and really talk about our mind and how powerful it is. Just something that I thought, just something that I began to think and ponder on. Man, I really wish this. Man, I really wish that. It happened and it was brought to pass, and my day was all the more special, all the more magical, all the more once in a lifetime experience. But it was something in my mind, and the more I kept thinking it, I'm like, man, all I did was think it. I never vocalized it. I never vocalized that there was an actual need, but yet my need was met. And so I kind of wanted to talk about how powerful our mind is. Your mind is pretty much like it's the powerhouse of everything. It's the nuclei. You can't do anything without it. It's the brains, it's the power. And so I'm like, when our mind is in the wrong place, it's seemingly like everything else is in the wrong place as well. But when our mind is in the right place, everything works out for the better. And I'm like, well, it kind of made me think, well, what type of things are we reiterating? What type of things do we say, or kind of just say to ourselves, like, man, this isn't this, man, I ain't gonna be that, man, this is not even gonna work out, man, this isn't blah blah blah, man, I'm such a failure, man, I'm so ugly, man, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, no one likes me, no one wants to do this, no one's gonna support my business, no one's gonna buy that if I do put it out, no one's gonna subscribe to my channel. But these are all things we're saying and we're thinking and it's resonating in our minds. And a lot of times they're the most negative things about ourselves, not even really about other people. It's about ourselves. It's about what type of image are we reinforcing in our minds about ourselves. You know what I mean? It almost seems as though like we become our biggest opponent, and there's a whole bunch of tweets and conversations about that. Man, it's you versus you. We're our biggest opponent, and a lot of times we are. But what if we were to change the narrative? Hear me out. What if we were to change the narrative of us being our biggest opponent, whereas when I look in the mirror, it's me versus me? Because in reality, it's kind of like that in the sense of there's no other competition unless you create that competition. You know what I mean? You're only in competition with yourself. You produce the best, you're going to be the best. But in the sense of, what if instead of looking at it as I'm my biggest opponent, what if we looked at it as though, you know what? I'm my biggest rooter. I'm the biggest victor. I'm the person that's rooting for myself if no one else is. So when I do look at myself in the mirror, it's not like a battle with myself. It doesn't create a negative space or connotation. It creates a space of like, you know what? You got this self. You know what? You is beautiful. You know what? You are very smart. You know what? You are a billionaire. You know what? You are going to be successful. Matter of fact, you are successful. You are important. You are successful. You are not a failure. You are a winner. You are a genius. You know what I mean? You are the top of your class. You are the top performer at your job. Whatever the case may be, you are wanted. You are loved. You are chosen. And so what if we change that narrative of, instead of a you versus you, it's a kind of like a you with you. Like, I'm with myself. Like, I'm rooting for myself. If don't nobody else encourage me, if no one else tells me I'm doing a good job, I'm going to tell myself I'm doing a good job. And I kind of just wanted to just share that with you guys. And that's kind of like a realization that I've had. Like, you know what? I got to encourage myself, because in reality, it doesn't matter how much encouragement. It doesn't really matter how much outside good energy comes from the outside in. If you don't believe that within yourself, or if that's not being resonated within yourself, all that stuff don't mean nothing. For example, for years I've struggled with self-esteem, and I always felt like I was ugly. I always felt like, oh, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I have my head too big, I don't got no edges, whatever the case may be, and they growing back, okay. But whatever the case was, I always felt like I was just never enough. I always felt like I was inadequate, whatever the case may be. And so as time goes on, I get in a relationship, I get married, and my husband, there hasn't been a day that has passed where he has not told me how beautiful I was, how smart I am. Oh my gosh, my love, you're so gorgeous, you're beautiful, you're elegant, you're graceful. And it's like, even to this day, no matter how many times I hear it, I question it, I challenge it. I'm like, really? You really think so? But when it comes from inside out, girl, you beautiful. Look, your edges is growing in. Your hair is whatever. Your hair is long. Your hair is short. Your hair is curly. Whatever the case may be. Ooh, girl, your pimples not big. Your skin is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Happy Black History Month. But whatever the case is, when it begins to come from the inside out in your mind, where everything else has to abide by what your mind is telling you, it lines up. Your life becomes a little bit better. At least mine has. My outlook on things, whether or not the circumstances change, it almost becomes a little bit more bearable when your outlook changes. You know, instead of looking at the glass half empty, you're looking at it almost full. It means I just got halfway more to go. I need a little bit more water to fill my cup up to have a full cup. And that's okay, as opposed to looking like, man, I don't know. It just seemed like every time I put water in here, it goes away. We can look at it like, you know what? This cup a little janky. You know what? I'm going to go get me a new cup. That's exactly what I'm going to do. We make a plan. And I tell my husband that all the time. We run into so many situations of like just life. And it's like, you know what? It's okay. All we got to do is reroute, replan, refocus. And so I just wanted to leave that with you guys, to change our mind. Stop looking at it as a you versus you. And you're your biggest opponent. Boo-boo. You're your biggest encourager. You're your biggest fan. You have to be your biggest fan, rooting for you, because there's power in your mind. There's power in how you think. There's power in how you perceive, because when you start to think something in your mind, you start to feel it in your heart. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So once you think it here, you begin to feel it and believe it here. You begin to say those things. You know what I mean? There's times you got to say it when you don't believe it, but you got to think it. It has to resonate within you, even when there's not another word that's agreeing with you. You know what I mean? You got to stand for something or fall for anything, even if that means you got to stand by yourself. So I just wanted to leave that with you guys. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I was kind of jumping around a lot, but I really hope that it encouraged you. I hope that it brought a smile to your face. I hope that it made you laugh. So tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. It's lit. It's going down. I have some crazy story time, some encouragement, just a good place just for you to share. You know, drop in the comments. You know what I mean? Share some ideas of what you might want me to talk about next. And so I love you guys. And I just hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And remember, you're victorious. You can make it. You're doing a great job. And there's nobody like you. There's only one you in this world. So stand by. Be a trailblazer, baby. You a trendsetter. You a go-getter. And stand by that. You can do it. And you are your biggest encourager. You're your biggest victor. You can do that. You have to root yourself on, even when circumstances don't really seem like they're going good. That's okay, because the more that you change your mindset, you begin to change how you feel about things, change how you perceive things, change how you speak about situations. Your situations are going to change for the better, and I know that for a fact. So I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.